everybody, welcome back to my channel. In my last video, I did mention that I was waiting to get my camera back to film future videos. I do have my camera now, so hopefully this video is much better quality. So for today's video, I will be talking more about another LGBT topic. So earlier this week, I posted a poll on my Twitter account asking my followers what they would like to see. As a result of that, I will be talking about LGBT representation in today's video. The first topic that I wanted to touch on in this video is LGBT representation in TV and movies. Growing up in kids' TV shows and movies and whatnot, there wasn't a lot of LGBT representation whatsoever. If there ever was, it was very stereotypical. What you would see would just center around gay white males. If there ever was any lesbian representation or representation of queer women, it was also very stereotypical butch. Both of these are obviously still important as these people do exist in our community. However, that's definitely not all there is to the community. In more recent years, there has been a stronger inclusion of LGBT characters in TV and movie. There's been more content that focuses around LGBT issues. I feel like this is largely due in part to the fact that LGBT issues as a whole are being a lot more focused on now than they used to be. Another important thing to kind of make note of in regards to LGBT people being represented in TV and all media is just really normalizing the idea. I know previously any representation always centered around gay people being afraid to come out, being ostracized by other people. That was usually the main topic. I think it's really important to not only introduce gay characters into media, but to also just have them represented on the same scale as straight counterparts. What I mean by this is it doesn't always have to be a spectacle and it doesn't always have to be about LGBT issues. Simply just having a same-sex relationship or a gay character and not making a huge deal out of it is really helpful, and it really normalizes the idea of same-sex relationships and all of those kinds of issues. I feel like this is so important because there's no denying that so many of us spend a majority of our time watching different sources of media. Being able to see this from a young age really, like I said before, it just normalizes the idea and it gets people used to seeing it. Even for children and young people who are not a part of the LGBT community, seeing this makes it so much less of a big deal when they are exposed to it in real life because it's something that has already been brought to their attention. The next topic I want to touch on is a really big one and one that's very important to me, and that is social media. Growing up, social media started to become a really big thing for my generation. However, not until more recent years, social media, for me at least, was still really centered around people that I was used to seeing every day and people that were from my area. So there wasn't a very expansive community that I myself was reaching out to, and I'm sure many other people my age can kind of follow along with that. Nowadays, it is so easy to connect with people from all over. Speaking from my own experience, I have friends from all over the world because of social media. That's actually how I met my current girlfriend, Courtney. So love that for me, love that for us. A good example of this is how many YouTubers and social influencers are a part of the LGBT community. I know so many people have mentioned that when they were starting to come out or thinking about coming out, what really helped them is going on YouTube and seeing videos of people sharing their own coming out stories, or going on Twitter or Instagram and seeing people sharing their stories and their journeys. Before I really got involved with social media, I only had probably a handful of LGBT friends, or even not even friends, just people that I knew who were a part of the community. And now I'd say easily a majority of my friends are a part of the community. Just like with TV and movies and all that kind of media, being exposed to this and being able to chat with people on a daily basis who are going through the same struggles, who have the same difficulties, really makes you feel like you're not alone. So the topic of LGBT representation in social media ties really well into the last topic I wanted to talk about, which is something that most kids have absolutely no control over, and that is where you grow up. So speaking from my own experience, I grew up in a very, very small town. It wasn't until I went away to college that I was in a bigger city. I was in an area that was much more diverse. I did grow up hearing, probably most days, homophobic comments from other children my age. I don't necessarily think it's fair to put this on children because that's what we were, and it was, again, probably just a product of their environment that they were growing up in. Like I said before, I didn't really come to the realization of my own sexuality until I was in college, so growing up around this didn't feel like it really had a negative impact on me. However, I do think that if I wasn't experiencing this and hearing this every day, then I may have been more open to the idea and probably would have realized or come to the realization of my sexuality a lot sooner. That being said, there are so many people in the LGBT community who say that they did know their sexuality from a very young age. I can't even begin to imagine how this affects them and how growing up in an environment that I did would have affected them. For this reason, going back to the use of social media, being able to connect with people who go through the same struggles that you are not getting in your day-to-day life, you're not receiving from your peers, is so beneficial. It's really helpful to have those people to talk to. Just to use as an example, I know that for myself and other girls and other people, in the environment I grew up in, it was very common for gay terms to be thrown around as insults. So whether it be gay or calling girls lesbians for absolutely no reason whatsoever, saying it with a negative connotation really puts the idea in your mind that there's something wrong with it, that it's something to be frowned upon, and that it's something that's not normal. Now, this obviously happens in areas other than small towns as well. However, in areas where there is a lot more diversity, you just see so much more, and it's definitely not as sheltered. So I hope this video did a good job of touching on some LGBT representation issues. It is such a deep topic that obviously everything was not touched on in this video. Again, I was just talking about some of the things that affected me the most growing up and that I think about the most when thinking of LGBT representation. If there's any other topics that anybody would like me to discuss in my videos, or any questions that people would like answered, feel free to either contact me on my Twitter, Instagram, or in the comments below. I'm really looking forward to being able to talk about more LGBT topics on my channel, and thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's video.